Now, jumping into the MLB, Brett, we have a loaded slate of games on Tuesday night. Specifically, we have 14 games to pick from. Where should we even start?
Oh, I don't know, Higgins. I guess we should start with the first game, Giants at Reds. Why not?
All right, so the Giants at Reds here, Brett. The Giants are on the road, plus 110 underdogs on the money line. They're plus 1.5 on the run line as well. But this raises a little bit of a flag to me because if you look at who's supposed to potentially be on the mound, Brett, we have Anthony DeSclafani for the Giants and Luis Castillo for the Reds. Now, Luis Castillo, who was hoping to have a breakout season, and a lot of people expected to potentially have a strong season for the Reds, has really suffered at the beginning of this season. He's 1-7 on the year, an ERA of 7.71, a WHIP north of 1.75. Meanwhile, you have DeSclafani, who has a 3-1 record, an ERA of 2.14. Give me the Giants in this scenario. Are you kidding me? It's night and day with these two pitchers' stats. Now, I am going to lock this in with the listed pitchers that I am seeing here because I am worried that this might change. And if it does change, then I'm not as confident on that pick. I'm going off of these probable pitchers. So give me the Giants money line at plus 110 with DeSclafani and Castillo locked in as the pitchers in the duel.
See, it's so funny, Higgins, because Anthony DeSclafani was a former Reds pitcher. So,
Yes, he was.
there are plenty of numbers for us to go back to and see how he pitched in the small park in Cincinnati, and he was not great there. So, I like you saw the line. I looked at it. I was like, "Ooh, Reds. Giants is dogs at Cincinnati." I was like, "Ooh, that's pretty enticing." I was like, DeSclafani's pitched well this year. I just don't know if I could trust him in the small park.
Now, you bringing up that DeSclafani was not that strong during his time with the Reds in their home park, you're right. Makes me curious of this over-under, because if Luis Castillo's ERA is at like a 7.71 and this over-under sitting at an 8.5, doesn't sound like there has to be much work done on the other side, potentially.
You know what? Higgins, you may be talking me into this over 8.5. I could absolutely see that hitting. I think to your point though, DeSclafani's pitched really well. So maybe you do have to take a little bit of a step back and be like, well, it is 2021. There are tons of strikeouts this year. Pitchers look better than ever, so maybe he's figured something out. Although, to the same point, you have to be worried about Luis Castillo, and his ERA would suggest that 8.5 is in play no matter who is on the other side.
It really is. I mean, I would love for the over to hit, even though I'm not on it, because I like the bats with the Giants a little bit more personally. I like the crew they have building around Yaz, not Junior, grandson Yaz, I guess you call him. But Brett, let's go into some of these other games because we have some other West Coast games to talk about, don't we?
Definitely. I'm going to find myself on the Astros Athletics game. Right now, it looks like Christian Javier versus Sean Manaea. And honestly, Higgins, I just think Houston plus money on the money line here. So I get him at plus 105 right now with those projected starters. I'm going to just take that. I don't really necessarily think it's the greatest bet in the world. I think Sean Manaea is a good pitcher. I think the A's are a good team, but I do think the Astros plus money versus the A's, I'm going to take that every time. Just because I think the Astros are a little bit better of a baseball team top to bottom than Oakland.
Also, traveling to California compared to playing in Texas, the fan aspect not going to be having full capacity in Oakland like you do in Houston necessarily. So the impact that might have, who knows, but you're not going to hear as many trash cans, which Houston obviously did not like when they went to the Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, no, it was loud in Yankee Stadium. But Altuve did eventually go deep in that series as well. So a little retribution for him as well.
Absolutely. Sticking on the West Coast, Brett, the Cleveland Indians travel to the Los Angeles Angels. They're starting a series together, and we're going to have Zach Plesac on the mound versus Andrew Haney. And Plesac has really pitched fantastic in his past two outings. Both of them, he went 8 innings. Granted, he got a loss in one of them, but it was when Wade Miley threw a no-hitter against him. It's really not Plesac's fault at all. Then he threw an 8 inning gem against the Seattle Mariners where he allowed 2 runs, still picked up the win, though. I see them necessarily getting a win again. I mean, the Angels have not been an incredibly strong team this year. They're not even winning above 500 while they're at home. They're 8-9 at home so far this season. And the Angels, while they did break a losing streak by getting a win against the Red Sox, they haven't really been very confident to me that they're going to get wins. I mean, they just let go of Albert Pujols because of his struggles, but he was not the only one in their lineup that was having some struggles. So give me Cleveland money line at plus 130. I think Zach Plesac is going to give that Angels lineup some issues, and if Cleveland can get a few early runs, maybe they can run away with it.
Yeah, Higgins. I think the Angels right now are definitely a team to fade. So seeing them at -140, I would automatically look to Cleveland, and then to see the pitching matchup, Plesac versus Heaney. I love that bet a lot, Higgins. LA is struggling right now. They're down there with the Detroit Tigers for worst record in baseball, and that is not a place you expect to see a team with Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. So something is wrong in LA right now.
That payroll is too big to be that far down in the standings, but it is only May. It is only May. Those teams can obviously still turn it around. But Brett, you just brought up the Tigers, and that there is a game going on Tuesday night that you and I are both going to be on, the Detroit Tigers versus the Seattle Mariners. Now, I'll give you the honors here, Brett. You go ahead.
All right, Higgins. Well, it's supposed to be Spencer Turnbull versus Justin Dunn, is what we have right now. I'm going to wait to confirm pitchers just because I don't want to get caught early on this one. It's a very late game, Higgins, so there's no reason for me to be honestly at the time we're recording over 24 hours in advance ahead of this one.
At the time we're recording, they are in the top of the first inning right now. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. So I'm just gonna sit on it for a little bit, but I plan on being on Seattle. They're -120 right now, so that's the line we'll talk about. But Higgins, maybe I'm crazy. I'm just a believer in the Seattle Mariners. I love Kyle Lewis. I love what Mitch Haniger is doing this year. He is unbelievable so far. Um, they called up their young guns, Logan Gilbert and Jared Kalenic. Kalenic has since gone yard. Gilbert didn't look great in his first start, but it clearly shows you the signs that this team is looking to start turning a page here, Higgins. So I'm a believer in Seattle. I mentioned Detroit, worst record in baseball right now. So you can pretty much auto fade the Tigers. And at -120, that's not a price too steep for me.
Yeah, so you're going to be on the money line potentially with Mariners. You're strong lean depending on if the pitchers that we see here confirmed get confirmed, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say this, Higgins. I just didn't want to hop on it over 24 hours in advance. People have been going on the IL left and right in Major League Baseball. And, I'm comfortable with hopping on something, 10 hours before first pitch. Okay, not much is going to change. I'm not going to. But, I mean, when we were doing this rundown, this game was still an hour away from starting. Now we're a little into our recording. We've finally thrown first pitch here, but there's just too much time with the amount of injuries I've seen in baseball, with the COVID stuff still happening. We've seen with the Yankees. And even, pitching rotations change last minute. So I definitely do plan on being on the Mariners. That is something I will strongly be considering throughout the day. And once pitchers are confirmed, I will probably place my bet.
Well, don't worry, Brett. I'm respecting the pillars, but I am going to also be on the Mariners. I'm not taking them on the money line, though. I'm taking the Mariners -1.5 at +155. So the pillars are safe. Don't worry.
All right, so the Tigers are finally winning a baseball game. I see. We did it, Detroit. We got you a win.
Well, here's my logic with why I'm taking the Seattle Mariners on the run line here, and it's one, the Mariners are the best team in the MLB against the run line, covering 64.3% of their games. And then you take a look at Detroit, who, as you mentioned, has the worst record in baseball. Probably has some pretty favorable run lines as the underdog in most of those games, you would assume, right? Maybe they're covering pretty well? Not necessarily. They're the fourth worst team in the MLB, covering only 40% of their games. So we have the best team in terms of covering against the run line in baseball against one of the worst teams against the run line and the actual worst team in baseball. Give me the Mariners -1.5 at +155. I love it. I don't. It's not too early for me. I'm taking that early line.
Yeah, I'm all about it, Higgins. I like the Mariners play on Tuesday night a lot, so I can't knock you for wanting your plus money. That's how you bet, man. And I'm a little more cautious, and I don't mind eating the 120. So, it's to each our own, right? I think it speaks to our gambling strategies and styles.
But you did mention a very fair point about waiting because of the IL, because of COVID that we've seen. Now, I'm in a couple different fantasy baseball leagues, Brett. The IL has been a whirlwind for me. One of our leagues, we had to expand the amount of spots on the IL we had because we had teams that literally had 10 players that were either injured or had COVID and weren't on the active roster. It is quite the conundrum for these teams in real life and for bettors and fantasy sports players.
Yeah, the amount of injuries this year just I guess honestly maybe what it is, Higgins, it's the amount of injuries to top players is just amazing. I mean, it's just unbelievable how many top players are hurt. I mean, I'm watching the Mets, Higgins. I'm pretty sure like three of our frat brothers are out there in the outfield, and another one's in the bullpen pitching. So it is unbelievable how many double A and triple A guys are gonna get called up this year due to injuries.
One player that's not getting called up is Tim Tebow. He's going to go play football.
Yeah, tight end, I heard.